sensitive about his size.
Good evening, everybody. I'd like to call today's meeting to order. Today is Tuesday, July 22nd, 2014. It is 7:04 p.m. We have a village board meeting followed by a committee of the whole meeting. Our first item is the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Sherby, would you please call the roll this evening?
Trustee Calhagno.
Present.
Trustee Gattuso.
Present.
Trustee Perry.
Present.
Trustee Rita.
Present.
Trustee Stecker.
Present.
Trustee Yokovic.
Present.
President Cooley.
Present. We do have a quorum and everybody is here. Great. Our next item is a bittersweet presentation of retirement award to Police Lieutenant Jeffrey Mersch. It's on the table? Okay. I need the paper because I forgot a lot of these things. Well, Jeffrey. Okay, I'd like to tender to you this Village of Westchester honoring retirement, July 31st, 2014, to you, Lieutenant Jeffrey Mersch, Westchester Police Department. Appreciation and recognition of your 28 years of professional service and dedication to the Village of Westchester and the protection and safety of our citizens. Presented this 22nd day of July by myself and the entire Board of Trustees. So I introduce to you. We wish you the best right here in retirement. Promoted to sergeant in 2003 after serving 3 years in patrol and 7 years as a detective sergeant. Promoted to lieutenant in 2012. Jeff is a highly decorated officer with numerous department honors and one of the only 2 Westchester officers to receive the Cook County Sheriff's Medal of Valor and life-saving award from the Westchester Fire Department back in 2001. He also served as a hostage negotiator for 10 years on the Northern Illinois Police Alarm System. He was a member of the Westchester Police Board for 14 years, so a well-deserved decorated career. And, he has some other opportunities available to him. He'll be on pension, enjoying the good life, like all of us pensioners. So, I'd like you to introduce your family.
My wife Nancy, and my son Dan, and my daughter Marissa's away at school at the University of Wisconsin. She's studying and could not make it, so she could do that.
And I understand that you may have a CPD officer in the family.
Yeah.
Pretty close.
Thanks.
Yeah, when your dad's footsteps. He knows myself. So, congratulations. I see some of your colleagues are in the back. And if you want to say anything about Jeff, now that he's retired. Wait a couple of days. You know what? He can't do anything to you. So, I know the staff is here and worked well with everybody all the years that he works with you in my tenure. Parents are proud. I know they're looking down on you right now. And the best you can, and another start, another chapter. So, we're going to miss you. And, she Carpina St. Louis.
Well, as you know, I came in as an outsider here in September of last year to be the police chief, and I was readily accepted. All members of the police department, especially two lieutenants, very helpful, very instrumental. Soon after I got here, he told me he was probably going to be leaving. That was something I said. You know, and I knew what I wanted to leave with the public people up there, so I had in my mind I wanted to move on in the free time. So it's always a good thing that we have another journey, have another life ahead of us. Wherever he goes, he'll be an asset to whatever organization he goes to. He'll be a loss to our organization, if I'm not. Men and women, your friends and co-workers, Westchester Police Department, for all you dedicated to service, the flag. Appreciate all you do. What else to the police department and to the community? I hate to say it, but you're not going to be here to see me blow up. Captain yet, or the comment? He's going to miss it. Unless it happens before the end of the month, he has to come in. He's been here 3 times a day on his first day, and he's not here. I'm sure he'll be around for a while. He's welcome to come anytime. Yeah. Welcome to come over. Come visit anytime. Well, thanks very much for all your help and expression.
Yeah.
Dedication and all that. Sure. I have retirement, he actually give me Mike, Lieutenant, I can give his lieutenant, give his retirement card.
Filming.
He's filming.
He's still filming.
I'm sure we will.
On behalf of the members of the department, we want to issue you, sadly enough, your retired lieutenant staff. You carry it in good health, never have to use it. We need a lineup photo, so we can just like drop the top of it, so. Well, I think we're gonna have cake, is that it?
Yes, we'll
We're gonna-
take a little 20-minute break for cake.
Jeff wants to say something. Oh, yeah.
Digest it too.
I want to thank my wife and my son and my daughter for, putting up with the job for the last 28 years. And my wife knew when she was getting into it. I was 5 weeks into the police academy, and I came back home, got married, went back to the academy the next day for another 5 weeks. And, great department, a lot of other departments look highly on it. So it's been a pretty good 28 years.
It's the magic number, 28. Guess we're gonna suspend for a little bit, have a little cake and coffee. Jeff's honor.
Okay, we're back in the game. Looks like, 7:28 or so p.m. All right, public comments. Is there any public comments this evening? I see no public. Public hearings, I don't think we have any. Consent agenda, we have A through G. Since there's no public, I'll dispense with reading any of that. Is there anything that we have to vote on that wasn't talked about in the cow in A through G? I don't believe so, but I may be incorrect.
No, not yet.
Nothing, okay. Is there a motion and a second to approve our consent agenda?
So moved. Second.
Tommy and Angelo.
Mess around. Blink. Right?
Any questions? If not, roll call,
I'm
please.
sorry, Sam, I gotta go through this for the Open Meetings Act.
Okay.
Sorry, I gotta give the public some info.
The price.
The first item A are the records of bills in the amount of $887,041.78. Item B are minutes of the executive session of August 8th and both the village board meeting and committee of the whole meeting for July 8th, 2014. Item C is an ordinance authorizing the sale of 3 surplus vehicles and waiving competitive bidding and authorizing the purchase of 3 2015 Ford utility police interceptors from Curry Motors in the amount of $72,200. Item D, waives competitive bidding and authorizes the purchase of a 2014 Ford Focus sedan from Curry Motors in the amount of $12,445. Item E is an ordinance waiving competitive bidding and authorizing the purchase of a surveillance camera system from Griffon Systems, Inc. in the amount of $16,500. Item F is a resolution which authorizes the execution of an indemnification agreement between the village and Regency Centers LP. This is an indemnification agreement in which Regency Centers agrees to pay for any cost to repair a 173 linear feet of water line that is located underneath the loading dock, which is being constructed at the new Mariano's facility. It authorizes the village to undertake the work and to be repaid by Regency. The agreement has no end date, and it runs with the land, so any successor in interest to Regency is obligated to comply with such agreement. Lastly, we have an agreement under the facade improvement program with Hancock Engineering for their property located at 9933 Roosevelt Road. They are having certain improvements made to their facade in which they are entitled to the maximum reimbursement of $7,500. That's entitles them to a reimbursement of 50% of the approved project costs, but not to exceed $7,500. So they've incurred the work, they've submitted proposals in which we've reviewed, and this is, I believe, the first agreement that we're entering into under the new facade improvement program. So those are the items on the consent agenda.
Okay. Is there a motion and a second on the floor for the approval? Sherby, please the roll.
Trustee Gattuso.
Aye.
Trustee Perry.
Aye.
Trustee Rita.
Aye.
Trustee Stecker.
Aye.
Trustee Yorkton.
Aye.
Trustee Calcagno.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Our item on the active agenda is a resolution approving a collective bargaining agreement between the village and the truck drivers, oil drivers, filling station, and platform workers union local 705 who represent our public works department. I think everybody got a copy of the thing to review. Is there a motion and a second for approval?
So moved. Second.
Oh, Holly and Nick, is that right? Okay.
Sam, unfortunately, I got to go through some of the highlights of this also under the Open Meetings Act. This is a 3-year collective bargaining agreement with an expiration date of April 30th, 2016 with Teamsters Local 705 for the Public Works employees. The contract includes wage increases of 2% effective May 1st, 2013, May 1st, 2014, and May 1st, 2015. There are other provisions in there with regard to overtime call-outs that were modified. If you recall, several months ago, I sent a blue-lined copy of the changes to you. The union then proceeded to reject that tentative agreement that was based on. We went back to the bargaining table. They wanted some additional wages We didn't agree to that. We held the line at the 2% over 3 years. And we made additional modifications to the drug and alcohol provisions in that contract. If you'll recall, they used to have about 3 pages worth of language dealing with multiple steps to discipline employees. We've now reduced it to, if you test positive for alcohol at 0.04 or above, it results in an automatic termination. If you test positive between 0.02 and 0.039%, the first time it results in a suspension, the second time it results in a discharge. And the only modification that we agreed to at the return to the bargaining table from what our tentative agreement was, if you recall, we had a discussion if they can go 5 years without testing positive, that 0.02 to 0.039 is taken out of their record. So that's all on that. Hopefully that suffices the public access counselor. I don't know how you can summarize a 40-page contract, but there we go.
All right, you heard Mike explain what the issues were in the contract. There's a motion and a second on the floor for approval. Is there any other discussion? Sherby, please call the roll.
Trustee Perry?
Aye.
Trustee Zita?
Aye.
Trustee Stecker?
Aye.
Trustee Yorkowicz?
Aye.
Trustee Calcagno?
Aye.
Trustee Gattuso?
Aye.
And President Boolia?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I obviously the alcohol thing was my stickler in this, but I think based on what Mike and I had a conversation and Janet regarding their hard work in putting together a more succinct operation for that I will approve it as well. So aye. Okay, manager's report. Don't faint.
I'm looking outside for the pigs flying.
We're happy to have that contract complete, and we're
No more
still working on
lightning,
a
we'll
few
lose more
more.
lights.
Just briefly, obviously we had just a great event last weekend. I'm going to let Greg speak more to that in his report, but can't thank all the volunteers and the staff enough for all their hard work. It was really a great time and a great turnout, so it really showcased Westchester very well. Did want to notify the board that I did receive notice yesterday that U.S. Cellular, they've given me notice that they will be terminating their lease agreement for their antennas on our cell tower. U.S. Cellular is out of business, but based on the terms of the agreement, they do have to remit a year's worth of rent to us in conjunction with that. So I will be looking for that money.
Who else is on the,
Sprint,
so the only two are Sprint and US Cellular?
That's on the water tower, right?
on the water tower, right,
They're the only two.
right. Sprint has relocated onto a temporary tower in anticipation of the painting of the tank. So they will remain on there until the painting's complete, but that will be our only lease at the current time, so.
Janet, do you want to give something about the water ban, the change of date?
Right. The water ban, initially, we published that it would commence on July 21st. The tank project has been delayed until August 14th, so the water ban has been delayed in accordance with that scheduling of the project. So we will be putting that in the August newsletter. So the new water ban will be from August 14th through October 31st. And we'll make sure that it's well communicated to all residents once it commences.
Okay, and we could probably put that on the sign as
Right.
well. So,
Mhm.
okay.
And
Anything else, Jan?
That's it for now.
Nothing?
Mhm.
Michael, anything?
No, I have nothing further this evening.
Angelo, anything?
We had the recycling event.
We had the rain-out
A
event.
while ago, yeah. We had 2 volunteers that really stepped it up and were literally up to their knees in water most of the day out there. We did close it off early, but we did unfortunately have a lot of fly dumping after that. Carl had to come back and kind of get it all kind of somewhat organized and stuff like that, but, you know, Carl and Sam really stuck it out that morning. We had a couple other volunteers show up, you know, so. And just wanted to say kudos to the Public Works and everybody in the village and the Park District for the event over the weekend. I think they did a real nice job putting it together, and, you know, I think it was pretty well received, so congratulations and kudos to them.
Thank you. Tommy? Anything from the cab? Frankie, EDC?
I have nothing to report this time.
Nikki?
There's going to be a ETSB meeting on the 12th of August at 1 o'clock. So we got some, everybody to get together that day. I think Jimmy's going to be out of town, but everybody else that day seemed to work okay for. Police and Fire Commission, they finalized their SOPs, or not SOPs, but their bylaws. So that was wrapped up at the meeting a week ago. And that's about it.
Good. Celestine, anything?
Good job on the thing last weekend. It was fun.
Great time.
Band was good.
Great. Polly?
No, I'm not done. I'm
No.
sorry. Made some phone calls about chairs for remodeling, so I
Oh,
should have
okay.
maybe some pictures or samples or something for our next meeting.
I like samples.
Yeah,
Yeah.
something with that nice meeting
And
feature.
just a question, with the recycling events, TVs, and this is probably more for John, TVs on the street. I mean, there are some big honking TVs just put at the curb. What is going on? What are we doing with them? I mean, I don't want to pick them up, but is someone telling these people they're going to sit there till they rot?
Oh, generally, the edict in the winter was if the PW truck drives by, picks it up and just brings it in and drops it off by the back. I mean, it's fly dumping, but again, whose TV is it? Who saw him out there? You're gonna knock on the door, they're gonna say, I don't know whose it is. I mean, it's not worth the aggravation. If we see something, call it in, we'll snag it and bring it in the back. I mean,
Does our waste service put any tags on them when they come for garbage pickup to let them know that
I
they
haven't
don't?
seen tags on them.
They can't?
no.
But they don't even tag it like they do a toilet or like
Yeah.
a.
That's what I'm saying,
Or if it's
they don't
open
even
weight,
tag
They're
it,
not doing
Yeah,
anything.
just to let the resident know that, you know,
They should have a
they don't
recycling
take
tag
'em?
on it or something.
I don't know. Janet could call Waste Management and find out if there's anything. But, you know, if you see one, just call it in, we'll come pick it up.
It's not gonna, I mean, that's just gonna make their neighbor know, well, the town picked it up, even though I'm
Oh.
not supposed to put it there. I mean, there's probably one a block. It's crazy.
Well, we got the same issue with trees and branches. We have a week, we do it next week. There's 3 more piles out on Dorchester today, and it's not gonna be picked up for another week. We've always been acquiescing. It's just, it's as simple as that. I mean,
I'll add a blurb to the
You know.
newsletter reminding residents that
That would be good.
But-
they
Thank you.
can dispose of TVs.
hey, we can't even get people not to put their garbage cans in the street. So if you think that's gonna do anything, you're sadly mistaken. Just doesn't happen, so. But anyway, Paulie,
Hey, again, kudos on the barbecue, got a lot of good comments on it. Number one. Number two, had a fantastic car show Monday night. It was full to the gills. And if you haven't been out, please come out and join it. It's a lot of fun. And like I said, it's nothing beats a night outside, sitting out, listening to a good band.
great.
I thought you were gonna have to start parking them in the nature,
Wherever we can park them, we're parking them. That's how it's gonna go.
through, yeah.
Chief, John.
Just to follow up to trustee Retta, on several occasions I've seen couches, TVs, I've referred them to George, he goes out, makes contact with the homeowner and asks him what's going on, and we haven't had a problem with them disposing of them, where we can truly identify they belonged at that house. But I will make mention to George tomorrow to make sure he's vigilant of checking these monster TVs from the past. I have not personally seen a big TV yet. I've seen a lot of couches that were just left and thrown out on parkways, and as soon as I see him, I address it with George, but I'll make sure he goes out. And that photograph you said you're going to send me on that one business, I'll be glad to pass that on to him tomorrow as well.
to follow up to Trustee Stecker about the Police and Fire Commission. They recently, since I was on vacation, they published the announcement for the test for police officer because they're being proactive. They know that our list is expiring in October to be ahead of the curve. Not that we're hiring anybody, but by law they have a current list they're already working on, looking for candidates. They changed their rules where you have to have 30 hours of college. You don't have 30 hours of college. You have to have military experience. So they amended some of the amendments they made to their rules and regulations that were published. In addition, since the last meeting I asked if we can create that public services coordinator position, the police public services coordinator. I'm receiving resumes on a daily basis. I'll collect them through the end of the month, and at the 1st of August, I'll start going through with the resumes, and I'll talk to the village manager, and I'll decide on the selection process who's going to get interviewed, and we'll go from there. So that process is moving forward. So we've got some downtime from when between Jeff's gone and we get a replacement, but we'll be able to handle whatever reports and day-to-day activities he generated, the payroll, things like that. We won't miss a click, so to speak. So we're already working to fill the void. The new cars should be here next week, the ones you just approved. Not too soon because the trade-ins are barely hanging on. The cars that we offered for sale, we already have a bid on one of the cars, the old car that blew the engine, and I don't think we have a bid on the Volkswagen yet. And we are scheduling in the near future the extra tactical patrols that we have available in overtime from Cook County Homeland Security Grant. Although they have not yet sent us the agreement to proffer to have it signed, we could start using any manpower since July to go towards the $30-some thousand that we have in overtime costs. So we're going to start scheduling tactical patrols early afternoons, late evening, early evening, throughout the village. The officers will be working in a pair in tactical clothing, stopping cars, walking through parks. Wherever we see a surge in car break-ins, they'll be there. So it's going to be a very valuable asset that we could use through the next year to use that money for overtime. That was the purpose. So we'll be scheduling it soon. Other than that, still waiting for the agreement for the grant money so we could come to the board for the purchase of that fourth car that was provided, the funding is provided by Cook County Homeland Security.
Good.
That's all I have.
Thank you. Jimmy?
Just a couple of things. Hoffman Estates, the police chief, Michael Hish, actually gave us a thank you letter on behalf of Richie Mahoney, our NIPAS team member. They had an incident back in June that ended successfully that he was part of, and they relayed a thank you note on his behalf, which will go in his file. Today was hot, not quite as hot as we need to theoretically open the cooling center according to our policy, but the cooling center can always be opened if somebody needs it. Typical hours of the cooling center from 8 to 7. Cots and water will be available. No pets unless they're certified service pets. It's a temporary cooling center. Anybody using it will be responsible for their own food and other personal needs. And again, it's just for temporary use. But there's also in town, any public building is pretty much can be used as a cooling center as well during normal business hours. And then last but not least, the big announcement is the Nictron is officially up and running as of 3 p.m. today.
Whoa, all right. How is it?
So it's cool. You know, the lights go on for the guys.
Oh, nice.
Oh, yep. Oh, yeah.
Oh, nice.
That's the Nictron right there.
Oh, perfect.
You see it right there. So, but it's actually it'd be really nice through that system. Actually, Norcom knows now 100% whether we get the signals or not. That machine constantly talks back and forth with the Zetron. Unfortunately, it's called the Zetron up in Norcom. Those machines talk back and forth constantly to make sure there's always a signal going back and forth. So they always know whether we get the alarms or not. Also, as part of it, with the alarms, the bunk room lights go on. The tones ramp up to prevent heart attacks. And there's some other things that are really nice perks to have in there that enhance us getting our calls and getting out the door quicker. And definitely the biggest improvement we've had in our fire station alerting system probably in the history of the department at this point. So I know I'm really excited about it. The guys are really excited about it because all stations are going to get the calls at the exact same time, and it's definitely a huge enhancement. And I'll also be looking into how it can affect our ISO rating going forward. So that'll be
We want to be a 2.
Yeah. Yep. So we're shooting for it. So all right.
So I already got the flood guy trying to work on a 6. And Melissa's around the bend there, so. Maureen, you're up.
Hi. Recently, the finance staff has welcomed a new member aboard. We welcomed Amy Lawson as our utility clerk. Amy has been with us about over a week now. She spent the last 2 days training with a representative from our new software company, Civics. She's catching on real quick, is very enthusiastic, and I think it's going to be a great member to our team. Also, I, along with the rest of the finance department, have been working diligently on preparing for the audit that's beginning next Monday, and that will conclude Friday, August 8th.
Thank you. Gregory.
Yes, as Janet said, that I was going to just add a little bit with regards to the barbecue, just throwing a couple pictures up that we took while we were there. Blues Brothers was definitely an unbelievable hit for those coming out. It was a great opportunity. They got everybody involved in the band, or I'm sorry, involved in the singing and whatnot. Just wanted to note, obviously, I know that the participation that I have is the role of a helper, if you will. Katie did quite a bit of the work in getting everything, especially last minute with Molly's transition occurring at that same time. And of course, we as employees, you know, we do what we're told. We do that. So I definitely volunteer their time, specifically Keith and Gary, who you know, not only are volunteering their time, they're volunteering their expertise to give us information on what's right, what's wrong, what we could do better. You know, specifically through the faults that they'd have over the 25 years of the fest. I don't know, you know, what specifically I would do without them and the knowledge that they bring to the table. But if, you know, of course, they're a big help. Of course, the next event is the Music Fest at High Ridge. That's being planned. That's underway now, concluding with fireworks at night. And then, of course, National Night Out, to speak on Rob Verber's behalf. The 5th of August, National Night Out. We're going to conclude with the screening of the movie Grease. I'm just going through here. Here's some of the bands that we had. Crowds. We had something for all ages. In addition to the music, we had somebody come out and do a bubble show for the children. Very well received. And of course, pull it up here.
Yeah, Dave Rudolph's beach party was also in there.
But I wouldn't be fair.
Oh.
The pie eating contest, once again, won by a fireman. There he goes, there, straight ahead. Dan Prezina, 2-time winner of the pie eating contest in record time.
You can't tell from the video, but Dan Perzina's T-shirt says "The People's Champion."
Yes. And there he is finishing right there. Trying to get the rest of the scraps off the table like he does in the fire station. And there he is, the winner.
Oh, it's with duct tape.
Also, yeah. Also next, that's his former cup. Next to him is new firefighter Leza. He also participated but didn't make it as far. He hasn't eaten enough yet.
2 minutes and 20 seconds.
An entire pie.
Jeez.
He did not beat his prior year time of 2 minutes, 8 seconds.
Yes.
Look at how, just in relation, just look how far everybody else got.
What do you win?
A little trophy.
Oh, no. That was his championship belt he brought in with him.
And he
his
brought an
entourage.
entourage. An entourage with signs. So anyways, there we go. That's the extent of that. But again, huge thank you to Gary, Keith, any of the volunteers that participated there from the chamber, the park. Of course, you know, the work of the park, work of the staff of the village, all working together just made it a phenomenal event. And definitely, as we plan these other events, I'm very open to criticism, very, very open to criticism, because I don't know enough about this, the planning of this. And taking Gary and Keith's knowledge, you know, does go a long way. But if you have any thoughts, ideas for future events, please, I would say either email it to myself or to Katie, and they'll be definitely discussed at our events meetings. Thank you.
Thank you. Melissa?
Good evening. Just a couple things tonight. I'm preparing information for the EDC regarding the wayfinding signs, the quotes for them. It'll be on their active agenda for next Monday morning. So hopefully that'll be before you really quickly. And I got another application for the facade grant from Christos Furs, and I also received interest from Dr. Kinnis at the Westchester Eye Center near Cermak and Mannheim.
Oh.
And he actually owns 2 pieces of property that are directly adjacent to each other, and I just wanted to get some clarification from the board. He wants to make 2 separate applications, which I think would be acceptable, but I want to make sure that that's okay with the board, because there was discussion at the time that we talked about the facade grant that if you have a multi-tenant building, that it would be considered one application. So I want to make sure
These are separate.
Yeah,
right?
but these are
It
two
looks
separate
like
buildings.
Two separate buildings, correct? Yeah, because I know what
they're
you're talking about.
directly adjacent to
Yeah.
each other.
Yeah. But
So
it's
I
two.
just want to make sure that you wouldn't view that as one application.
I don't have a problem with
No problem. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
no,
Okay.
it's 2 buildings.
I guess the question would be, say if because the buildings are attached, correct? The
No.
2 buildings you're talking about,
Technically,
they're attached, correct?
they're built next to each other. They're really not attached.
They're not
If you
attached.
look at them,
Separate PIN numbers?
Yes, 2 separate PIN numbers,
Yeah.
2 separate addresses.
Okay.
One
They were
has
just-
Mainstream Hair Studio, and then the other one has the Eye and Laser Center. So they're
As long as they're
really separate
detached.
buildings.
Because you could,
But they're directly adjacent. The walls
Yeah,
are
that-
directly adjacent.
but there's 2 separate set of walls. Oh, okay. Because, you know, what I was looking at, if, say, the trophy guy and Jeannie's hair, and then whatever's gonna go on the end. That's one building.
Yeah.
Yeah, so as long as it's got 2 pins, I think it'd be okay. Anybody have a hiccup with that?
They still have the $250
Yeah.
per lineal foot restriction, so.
Right.
That's correct.
So,
That was all. I had.
okay. Ms. Sherby, your turn. Nothing, okay. Robert.
We're having a busy summer. A lot of capital projects going on, and I just want to do a quick update on these, brief update on the projects. The Mayfair Reservoir project is nearing completion of the first phase. So the first phase, it's in design and permitting right now, and when that's finished, in August, we expect to go to bids. That first phase will be what I'm calling the dirt phase. That's where we're going to do the excavation and widen out the pond, the reservoir. The second phase will begin later, and that's the outlet sewer, the new sewer. So we're optimistic that'll go well. We're also working with the golf course to accept the spoil that we're going to excavate out. Makes a short haul and makes a very affordable project. It should knock $20,000-$30,000 off the price of hauling it to another location further away. Phase 2 is underway. The design is underway for the sewer, but it's not far enough along to begin the permitting phase. So we're hopeful that that first part will go to bid, and you'll see some activity out there in August. Our Crestwood control project for the water system, that's been completed. The updates are online, and now we're able to do remote reading without having to send a crew there as regular as we were. So we're using technology to really keep better tabs on our pumping and our pump controls. The last part left for that project is I had asked for approval for a change order to add a remote read on the chlorine room, so we no longer have to send employees in there on a regular basis, just to change the tanks every couple of months or so. So that's underway now and should finish, and we're right on budget with that. They completed that right on schedule. The Sunnyside Sanitary Sewer Replacement Project, which is related to the Mayfair Reservoir project. They finished the field surveying and the utility search, and they are working with Hancock Engineers, who has some prior design background for the sewer system that's out there. So they've received that, and they've just now started, our village engineers, Chris Burke and Associates, have just started detailed design. Our 2014 pavement rehabilitation program is in 3 parts. We did a outsourced bid for the asphalt work to Central Blacktop. We should be finishing that phase 1 portion this week. Good news is that there's a possible $10,000 credit that we're working with Central Blacktop on Wakefield. The base was in really good shape as opposed to all the other roads, which are in bad shape. So we're hoping to work a $10,000 credit. I know we had been here for a change order to cover some shortage on the quantities in that contract, and trying to work it the other way here, where we've got an ability to build the road on a solid platform and work for a credit. So we're negotiating with them to try to get some of that back. Concrete program is curb and gutter and driveway aprons with Jay Narduli. We've begun phase 2 this week, so we're moving into the second phase. And as you may remember, we need to finish that prior to the second phase of the asphalt program.
Is Narduli out there today? Do you know?
He started last week. He removed a section of curb on Portsmouth Avenue at the Portsmouth Sewer Project site. So he was going to do that ahead of it. It'll help expedite the Portsmouth Sewer Project. And then the in-house paving, we're nearing completion of that. I think they're doing a really good job out there, and we put down a lot of tonnage, doing both sides as a sort of advanced maintenance type project. It's a little bit short of full removal, but it really extends the life of the pavement by getting the edges, which predominantly have shown a lot of subsidence and recession and saturation of the base, and this will extend the life of the existing pavement. We're beginning to get to the final stages of design and into construction for the new emergency generator at Village Hall. This will be a 300 kW generator capable of powering everything in the Village Hall complex, both police and Public Works and Village Hall. We have some prior geotechnical work to do. When I got here, I heard stories about structures settling, and I was concerned about putting a 6,000-pound generator out in the village yard. So we're having some geotechnical drilling. I've got a quote on that, and going to have someone come in. It's around $4,000, but we need to do a clean landfill certificate in order to take the spoils from the construction for the slab to the dump. So we'll do a CCDD report, and we'll do some geotechnical drilling just to assure there won't be any settlement when we put this out there. We don't want any surprises. The bid's open for that emergency generator on July 29.
Did you ever, we ever look into the gas line situation?
We've got a call into NICOR. They're going to look at our pressure and our volume requirements, and we're waiting for them to get back to us. So to solve that dilemma, we've bid an alternate where we're going to have diesel and we're going to have natural gas. So we'll be able to go another week before we really need them to come back with telling us that that's a viable option to supply gas at a reasonable cost. Our big concern is if they don't have the pressure or the volume of the main that's out front, that we'll need to build another piece of the main. And that could be substantially a higher cost. And at that point, we would have to ask you again, do you still want to go natural gas and spend the additional money? But I need to know how much it is before I come back and ask you again. My concern is that it could be substantially more expensive, especially if we have to go across Roosevelt Road to bring that gas feed in, or across Mannheim. By position, we're not in the best spot to bring another main feed in. So if it can't be done with the local main that's out front, or by boosting it, we may be faced with another $20,000 to $30,000 of additional cost on top of the difference between natural gas and diesel. But we are monitoring that. I'm bugging NICOR every week to, do you have it yet? Do you have it yet? And they don't. So by the 29th, we'll get some answers. As Janet indicated, we're going to, we are hired a contractor, Jetco, for painting of the outside of the tank. And we had a pre-construction meeting on July 16th. We're anticipating a start date the week of August 11th, and we will place a water ban in effect, a watering ban in effect, from August 14 to October 31st to facilitate the painting of that tank. That's my brief update.
When the watering ban goes in effect, we're going to do an all-call.
It's, I know it's going in the newspaper first and foremost. We can do an all-call as well. That or a postcard. I mean, we could
Something, yeah.
do something simple. So, all right. Is that it, Robert?
Yeah.
That's it. Okay. Me, again, to echo some of the sentiments, I think the backyard barbecue was a huge success. Everybody had fun. I heard one complaint about noise, that it was late rocking the house, but other than that, it's all been kudos, Greg and company, and all the people that you mentioned. Certainly Janet as well, and Maureen and everybody that pulled together to pull the thing off. In light that that McGee kind of left us, and we had a majority of the plans in the game, but you never know what's going to happen last minute. And I think everybody handled it well. Katie was flexible enough and got things going. A little disappointed in the one truck that wasn't making any money on Saturday and came and left. But other than that, I think the vendors made out fairly well. I didn't hear too many negatives about it. I know Friday night was a blast with the Blues Brothers. They were very accommodating, and Chief had them come in with the police chasing them and searching them, and I mean it was very entertaining. Even Celeste was up there dancing her head off. So, so I don't know how we're going to top it next year, other than maybe bringing them back in that. But they were very entertaining, and they stood around, took pictures with everybody who wanted a picture.
Everybody, all the kids were like, what's going on, what's going on over there? Come on, let's go.
Yeah, so I mean, both days were just awesome. We had no police issues whatsoever, and I mean, yeah, the weather was perfect. So hopefully we'll have similar weather for the rest of our events, especially our October one, which I don't know if we picked the date as yet, but I know we're checking into October 18th. So, other than that, I think things are going well. Executive session, do we have something this evening?
Yes.
Something in the game? Yes, okay. So we're going to have an executive session under 5 Ilix 122C1 after our committee of the whole. So with that, is there a motion and a second to adjourn our board meeting?
Motion.
Angelo. Paulie, second. All those in favor of adjourning our board meeting, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anybody say no? Okay.